Plantation crops are those which are cultivated on extensive scale, like tea, coffee, and rubber. Plantation economies rely on the export of cash crops as a source of income. Prominent crops included cotton,
Check. Check. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning po.
Morning po.
Morning, sir.
Morning po.
Okay, for morning. And our agenda for today is, of course, we'll discuss about the intro to ICT specialization 2 topics, and then I'll talk a little bit about your OJT. Okay. So let me share my screen. So here are our agendas. We'll talk about media, data, and information, then media evolution, then principles of user interface. Okay. So let's first define what is data and compare it to information. Okay. First, data is of course raw, unorganized facts that needs to be processed. Data can be something simple and seemingly random and useless until it is organized. And then, if we compare it to information, information is also a data, but it is organized, structured, or presented in a given context so as to make it useful, and it's called information. For example, let's ask someone here, Annalyn, what is your height?
156 po.
156. So that's roughly around 5'2", tama ba?
Ay, hindi ko na po alam, sir, kasi parang ang tagal na rin po.
Okay, so let's say Annalyn's height is 5'5", okay, something like that. So that is a data. Okay, data is raw. So when you say that Annalyn's height is, let's say, 5'5", okay, so what? It's just a random data. It's a raw data. But if you are going to add another data from Annalyn, so let's say Annalyn's weight is around 60 kilogram. Okay, and then we already have two data. And if we process it and organize those two data, we can be able to, of course, extract a particular information that is useful, which is the BMI, or your body mass index. In return, we will be able to identify if she is underweight or in proper weight or overweight or obese. Okay, because of those two raw data, which is the height and the weight. So data is of course raw, unorganized pa, pero pag pinrocess na natin yan, it will become useful. And then let's connect the data and information to, of course, media. When we already have a data, and of course, we already have an information coming from the data, and because we process it and we give context to that, now media is necessary, of course, for us to deliver, okay, information and data. So we need something to put that particular data and information into. Okay, so that's where the media will comes in. Different types of medium, of course. So where are those types of media are we getting? So saba natin na kukuha yung mga different types of data and information, which we will put into a different types of media. Okay, so we can extract data from in the work settings, of course, in different types of fields such as geography, cultural, scientific, financial, statistical, meteorological, natural, transportation, different types of industries. We extract data and information in all of those industries, not just in the context of work. Okay, we can also use different types of data in the context of course, our personal use. Okay, so if we have know how to use data and information, we can be able to use that in our personal needs. For example, one particular data that we can extract from ourselves is, let's say you have a smartwatch or even just your smartphone. It can track how many steps, okay, you have taken in a day. So let's say your target in one day is 10,000 steps. So 10,000 steps is just a data. It's just a random number. Okay, it's a number that's presented to you. It's a 10,000 steps. But if you give context to that, which is based on your of course BMI again, that you need at least 10,000 steps a day. Okay, so that you can be categorized as an active person. So kapag yung data mo na yun is being collected every day, let's say for 1 month, you can be able to see the number of steps you've taken in a month. Then it will be cross-reference to the number of steps that you need in a day. Therefore, what will happen is that you can identify if you are active or not. Kapag na-reach mo, let's say in 1 month, you are averaging 11,000 steps every day, then therefore you are categorized as active. And then of course, we need something to put that information into. Okay, that's where different types of media will comes in. Let's say, nag-email sa'yo yung tracker, ng steps tracker mo. So nag-email sa'yo. Now, the media that they use to document that particular transaction or that particular event that happened to you, the number of steps that you've taken is, of course, let's say, in a form of a text kasi or graphics, because that is more engaging. So, makikita mo yung graphics ng may graph, okay, and may picture, and of course, may mga icon kung ano yung steps na na-achieve mo for that particular month. Okay, not just on your personal health, but also can be for your financial. Okay, so let's say you are using digital currency. So you will also have those data that is used to that. And when you organize that, that will become information and that will be presented in different types of media. So also for social media, all of those data and information that is presented to you. Now we have 3 categories of media that we are using. So first is the static and the dynamic, and the last category is the interactive media. Now the first one is, of course, static. Is from the word itself, static, it does not move. So there are 2 major media included in the static category of media, which is the text and graphics. So it does not move. Next is the dynamic, which is, of course, dynamic, meaning it keeps on moving. So it can be in a form of video, audio, information. And lastly, the interactive media, which from the word itself, again, you can interact with that particular media. Okay, so we have text and graphics for static, and video, audio, and animation for dynamic. And an example of this is, of course, remember, class, that the media is just a tool for us to store data or information. Okay? So parang ano yan, parang, di ba pag nanonood kayo ng mga horror movie, for example, Exorcism of Emily Rose or Conjuring, di ba yung main character nagiging medium siya? Okay? Therefore, siya yung nagiging tool to deliver information. Di ba? Ganun yung idea, same idea. It's like we use a particular tool, media is a tool for us to store or deliver information. Okay, very simple. So print media, from the word itself, print media, okay, it is something that deliver data and information to the masses, kasi nga print media. And graphics also, if a particular graphics contain such as infographics, okay, it delivered information and data. And we also have video. Of course, video is very famous in delivering different types of data and information. And of course, audio and animation. And lastly is the interactive media. It refers to the different ways in which people process and share information. Interactive media is meant to engage the user and interact with them in a non-interactive media does not. So an example of interactive media are virtual museum, Google Earth, and of course, different types of simulations. Okay, so under the static category of media is text. So it is the most primitive way of storing and delivering information. Okay. So during ancient times, they are using text already to deliver information. And after the text is the another under the category of static. Static is the graphic. Graphic makes the document attractive or the media attractive. It helps to illustrate ideas through still picture. Of course, does not move. There are two types of graphics, and the category of graphics, there are also two types, which is the bitmap and the vector. Bitmap means it's a paint graphics, and vector is, when you say bitmap, it is a picture of a real world item that is transported into a device. Can be a laptop, desktop, tablet, or smartphone. But vector, it is drawn entirely into a computer. Okay, so let's say, nag-take ka ng selfie, then transport mo sa computer or sa smartphone mo. That is a bitmap. Okay? But kapag nag-drawing ka, drawing mo yung, let's say may paint application, yung smartphone mo or yung tablet mo. Then nag-paint ka doon na realistic picture of you. So that is vector because that is drawn entirely in a computer. So any picture that comes from the real world that was transported to a computer, that is categorized as bitmap. And vectors, of course, if it's drawn entirely in a computer. And the first one in the category of dynamic is the audio. Okay? So audio also, after the print ad class during the 1960, 70, and 80, 1980s, after ng print ad, naging ano yan, yung pinaka most common na way to deliver information, the media that they use is the radio broadcast. So during the 1930s, I think 1930s, 100 years ago, it's the first time na nag-deliver, okay, nag-broadcast ng radio broadcast, okay, in a form of an audio. I think the very first broadcasted radio show is the parang in-address, State of the Nation address, pero ng king, kay king ng England. It's like SONA, pero sa king yung nagsasalita. So yun yung first ever radio broadcasted. So of course, yung sinasabi ng king, that is information, that is data. And audio that they have chosen is just the media, something to store that particular information. So ganoon naman lahat, di ba class? And in a form of digital, yung 101010, those are, of course, data. And if you combine that, if we interpret that 101010, that is an information. And that particular information, kailangan natin ng media, okay, for us to digest it, okay, for us to make sense of that particular information. So doon nga pumapasok yung different types of media na dinidiscuss natin ngayon. And the first one in the category of dynamic is the audio. Because it keeps on moving. So dynamic ang audio. So we can say ng the simplest form of dynamic media is audio. Okay? So what is the simplest form of dynamic media? Is of course audio. Kasi ano lang, sense of hearing lang yung gagamitin mo. And we can categorize audio into different categories also, which is the analog and digital. If it's analog, then you can hear the particular audio directly without the aid of any device. But as long as na dumaan siya sa any digital device, then from analog, that will automatically become digital. Okay? So kapag yung kausap mo, face-to-face kayo, that is an analog audio because it doesn't involve any aid of any devices. But once it comes from a smartphone or a tablet, desktop, etc., then that is automatically become a digital audio. Next category in the next media in the category of dynamic media is the video. Okay, so this is video provides a powerful impact. So this is true because once you are given a video presentation by your teacher, of course, your attention automatically increases. And then digital video is gaining popularity because of the following reason. Video clips can be easily edited. Okay, you can easily edit video clips as long as you have a certain video editing tools in your smartphones, laptop, desktop, etc. Next, the digital video files can be stored like any other files in the computer, and the quality of the video can be still maintained. So you can easily transport, just like in a different types of media, just like text, images, video, audio files. Okay, you can easily transfer it from one device to another. The video files can be transferred within a computer network. It allows non-linear editing in any part of the video. When we say non-linear editing, class, hindi lang cut and remove yung pwede natin gawin sa isang video. Ngayon, non-linear editing, hindi lang cut yung ginagawa natin, but we can add filter, okay, we can add green screen, we can add video audio clips to it. So there are a lot of things we can do to edit a particular video. Though there are disadvantages in using video as your main media in delivering information. Because class, do not forget that the main essence ng pinag-usapan natin ngayon is how to deliver data and information. Okay? And video is just one way of delivering data and information. So we need to, if you choose video to deliver information, then there are, of course, the disadvantages. One disadvantages of this is that it's file size. Okay, if you are shooting in 4K, yung 1 minute 4K video, pwede na siyang umabot ng 1 gigabyte already. Okay, what more kung yung video na sinushoot mo is, let's say, umabot ng 20 minutes. So, automatically, 20 gigabyte na kagad yun. So, kailangan mo ng malaking memory card if you are using video as your media to deliver information. Transferring these files can take a long time, especially when using the internet. But right now, our devices can cope up with this already. Okay, dati, pag nagta-transfer ka ng movie file from one desktop to your flash drive, it can take the whole day. So imagine that, just yung 3 gig, mga 1 gigabyte na movie. Kapag gumamit yung mga desktop before, so syempre marami kayong kakopy na movies, mga 10 movie. Pwedeng umabot ng 2 araw yun para ma-transfer sa flash drive. So that was before. But right now, since mabibilis na din yung mga devices natin, from one whole day, pwede na lang siyang pag nag-transfer ka ng movie, mga 5 to 10 minutes na lang. Okay? So those are the characteristics of using video. And next in the category of dynamic, the next media in the category of dynamic is animation. So we have audio, video, next is the animation. So process of making static images look like it is moving. So animation is really a graphics, but it undergone a process where it looks like the graphics is moving already. Okay, because of course the illusion that being presented to us, that's why it seems moving. So digital animation is used. We also have two categories under the animation, which is the 3-dimension and the 2-dimension. So very simple. Kapag 3-dimension is of course it has a more detailed presentation of the animation, and 2D is of course it has a 2-dimension only. Okay, so those are the three media under the category of dynamic. So here is different types of file formats under the text, graphics, audio, video, and animation. So text files, we have .doc, .txt, then the .rtf. And kapag nakakita kayo class ng file or document na nagtatapos sa .wav, .midi, .aif, .au, .wima, it is automatically an audio file. Okay? So kayo class, pwede nyo ito i-contextualize sa pag-OJT nyo, di ba? Kapag nakakita kayo ng files na under this file type, then you already know what is this particular type of files. Okay? So pag .jpeg, .gif, .tif, .bmp, .png, .psd, those are graphics, okay, files. Graphics media. So these are different types of media files. Again, media is what we are talking about. Media is just a tool to store information and data. So as long as you have a solid understanding of data, information, and media, you won't be confused, class. So data is raw, information is a processed data, and media is just a tool for us to use to store and deliver information and data. Okay? So nothing is confusing there, right, class? Can you give me a thumbs up if that three concept is clear to you? The concept of data, information, and media. Okay. So as long as you have a solid understanding of that, kahit paikot-ikutin mo, hindi ka malilito. Kasi mamaya baka, when you are expected to know all these things, especially if you are, undergone your on-the-job training. Next is the .avi, .mov, .mpeg, .wmv. Those are video files. AVI is audio video interleave. .mov is QuickTime. It's a certain Windows application. MPEG is Motion Picture Experts Group. And WMV is Windows Media Video. And animation files, if you are using a particular software, so once it is extracted, pag tapos na siyang mag-render, the end file of that animation that we created, it can be under this SWF. GIF is technically an animation because it is a two still graphics that is created to, seems like that it is moving. Then SWI, animation swish format. Okay, now we're done with the static and the dynamic. Interactive media naman refers to a different types of media which people process and share information. So again, kahit na interactive media siya, it is still a media. And from the very essence of it, media is just a tool to deliver information. Okay? So interactive media is meant to engage the user and interact with item in an interactive. Media does not. So lahat ng video game na nilalaro nyo, class, it is an interactive media. So kahit as primitive as Pac-Man, yung Pac-Man na laro, or yung Galaxian, or yung Tetris, lahat yun, interactive media. Lahat ng mga data na nakikita nyo, nakokontrol nyo. So as long as you can interact with it, lahat yun ay categorized as interactive media. So we can say that all video games are interactive media. Okay? Kahit from Tetris to Mobile Legends to Dota, lahat yon ay interactive media. Okay? Ang very essence nun is lahat ng mga pixel na yun, lahat ng graphics na yun, those are data and information. And you can interact with it. Therefore, it's an interactive media. So lahat ng video games na nilalaro nyo, from Tetris to Puzzle Bubble and Mobile Legends, lahat yung interactive media. Driving simulation, okay? Sa mga flight simulator, yung ship simulator, lahat ng simulation games are of course interactive. Basta lahat ng electronic games, those are categorized as interactive media. And in a context of education, in an educational way, interactive virtual museum. So, virtual museum, kapag ano mo lang, of course, kung saan mo gusto pumunta, mapupunta ka doon. Then, Google Earth. Google Earth is a very good example of interactive media. Kasi lahat ng street, lahat ng bahay, especially sa street pass, those are all data and information, right? And the media that they are using is interactive media to present it to us. And we can interact with it. Pwede na nga tayo pumunta sa harap ng bahay natin, di ba, class? Doon sa street pass, makikita mo yung harap mismo ng bahay nyo. And that's an interactive media. So, static, interactive, static, dynamic, then interactive. Those are the three categories of media. Again, media is just a tool for us to deliver and store information so that we can digest it we can understand it, okay? So another concept that we will be talking is the concept of GUI, or Graphics User Interface. So yung meron na tayong understanding ng data, media, information, media. Now let's talk about GUI, or Graphical User Interface. This is another thing for us to interpret, okay? For us to present to us those different types of media in the software. So GUI is present in application, in software, and operating software. OS, application, software, all of those GUI is present. Okay, so we'll talk about the 8 principles of user interface, from consistency, clarity, context, navigation, search, personalization, learnability, and flexibility. But before that, let's watch this video first. Okay, parang hindi ka na share audio. Share sound. Okay, class. Can you chat in what is your idea of GUI or graphical user interface? Just one word, kahit one word lang. Ano yung word na naisip niyo pag narinig niyo yung graphical user interface or GUI? Ano yung mga word na na-associate niyo sa GUI? Okay, yeah, programming, correct. Icons, correct. What else? What particular word do you associate in GUI? Menus, correct. Visuals, okay, yes. Okay, so we'll talk about the 8 principles of GUI, the graphical user interface. Okay, and one of those principles is the principle of consistency, meaning it is the interface design in which the harmony and the same applies to all screen in a software program. For example, class, in this picture here, in this slide, when you, based on this particular application, so let's say this is an LMS, okay? So LMS or Learning Management System is an application or a software or a platform, okay? Now, lesson on the upper right corner, it says lesson 2, lesson 1. Then of course, kapag kinlik mo yung summary, what will happen is you will also see the summary of the lesson 1. Now, on the next slide, on the next part of that particular learning management system, since lesson 2 na yun, pag kinlik mo yung summary, of course, dapat yung summary niya is summary of lesson 2, not summary of lesson 1. So therefore, that's an example of principle of consistency. Not just in function-wise, not just in function-wise, but sometimes in aesthetic-wise. For example, class, in Facebook, di ba? Ang theme ng application na yon is color blue. Let's say in the login page, it's blue. Now, but if you log into Facebook, what will happen is that the entire interface of that application is becomes red. So of course, there's no consistency. Dapat sa landing page pa lang, okay, the page where you need to log in, and the mismong application is of course dapat color blue rin. So we need to understand another concept in discussing the principle of consistency. First is the software. Okay, software, application, platform. Okay, we can in a way they are the same. Okay, and because it needs user interface for us to use them. Okay, so dapat daw present yung 8 user interface na to sa lahat ng application, software, and platform, those different types. An example of application, software, and platforms are anything. Okay, pag hawak ng smartphone nyo, lahat ng nakikita nyong icon dyan, lahat ng application na, dapat applicable yung 8 user interface na ito. Okay? Then, another concept that we need to understand is the OS or the operating system. Okay, so this GUI does not only applicable, hindi lang siya applicable sa application, software, and platform. Applicable din siya sa operating system or OS. So an example of OS is of course Android, iOS, Mac OS, Windows, Linux, Fire OS, Ubuntu, and Symbian. So those are different types of operating system. So we can say na yung OS, okay, that is where parang siyang yung bahay. So the metaphor to that is we can say that the OS is like a house where the program, application, and platform ay nakatira. So we can say that Kaya applicable din sa OS yung principles ng user interfaces. Of course, yung operating system ay meron ding mga function na kagaya ng nasa software. An example of that function is search function. Di ba, class? Meron kayong kung gumagamit kayo ng laptop is most likely ang OS nyo is Windows. Now, Windows OS ay may search function. Now, kapag nag-open kayo ng application or software or platform or anything dun sa OS nyo, is meron ding search function. Di ba, class? Sa Facebook, may search function. Sa Lazada, sa mga e-commerce platform, meron siyang function, meron siyang search function. Okay? So, hindi lang applicable to sa software, but also applicable sa OS, sa operating system. Okay? So, clear ba, class? Can you give me a thumbs up if that is clear to you? The concept of software and OS. Okay, good. Okay, trivia. May nakakalam ba kung ano yung OS ng Huawei? Proprietary operating system ng Huawei. It starts with letter H.
Harmony OS po.
Okay, that's correct, Annalyn. Okay, kasi nga, di ba? Bawal na sila gumamit ng Android. Kaya gumawa sila ng sarili ng OS, which is the Harmony OS. Harmony. And yung Samsung din, meron din silang sariling OS. Yung Bada OS, B-A-D-A, Bada OS. So that is, yun naman yung palaban nila din sa Android, Bada OS. So Bada meaning ocean in Korean, or ocean, or sea or ocean. Bada OS. That's for Samsung. Okay, so yeah, we also already explained the principle of consistency, meaning there is harmony, not just for function, but also for aesthetic purposes. Okay, because the main essence of GUI is for us to easily use that particular software or OS. Okay, next is the principle of clarity, means clearness of labels on all of icons to make the system easy to understand. Okay, users should use relevant icons or graphics to indicate the information used. Words or commands should be clearly labeled so that users can understand them easily. So clarity. Kahit mag-open kayo class ng any application sa cellphone nyo, or kahit sa smart TV, pag nanonood kayo ng Netflix, di ba, class? It's very clear where would you go if you want a certain category of movie. So it's very clear there. It's very clear also what are those trending movies in the Philippines. Di ba nakikita yun sa smart TV nyo? Okay, so again, applicable to lahat sa not just for smartphone, tablet, but also smart TV, desktop, laptop. So clarity. Mag-open lang kayo ng kahit na anong application sa cellphone nyo. Ano yung favorite application? Maybe Shopee. So pag kinlik nyo yung Shopee, pag in-open nyo, so Shopee is an e-commerce platform. So it has, of course, it should have the principle of user interface, the clarity. So at the bottom part of that application, you'll see the home, feed, live, notification, and the me. So it's very clear. So where would you want to navigate? Because me, that's where you'll see all the shipment that you are about to receive. Okay? So very self-explanatory. Dapat yung software na ginagamit nyo is may principle of clarity so that it can pass to the GUI 8 principles, that is clarity. So we have consistency already, we have clarity. Now we also have the principle of context or content. We can say context or content. Now context means every part of a lesson should be relevant to a particular title. So in-explain kasi to class in a context of learning management system. So learning management system is also another category. Okay? So, ano ba yung mga category ng application na ginagamit natin? E-commerce platform such as Lazada, Shopee, Zalora, learning management system such as Schoology, Edmodo, okay? Video conferencing software such as Google Meet or Zoom, dating applications such as wala akong alam na dating apps. Tinder, yeah, Tinder. So another category. Another category is video edit productivity software, okay, such as Filmora, okay, so CapCut. So those are productivity software. And of course, Word is also under the productivity software. And video editing software is also under productivity software. So there are a lot of categories for software. So another categories also is the games. Okay, Clash of Clans, Mobile Legends. Okay, those are example of another category of software. So basta present dapat lahat ng 8 principles na to sa lahat ng software na na-encounter nyo. So principles of context. Example of this is dapat hindi na out of context. For example, what is the yun, meron akong kaibigan class na meron siyang parang active siya sa, of course, sa mga e-commerce platform. Okay? So tendency is you can be able to use the e-commerce platform to actually chat someone. So let's say merong chat function yung mga e-commerce platform such as Shopee. Okay? So that is pero yung application na yon, yung chat function ng Shopee should be used entirely for business purposes. Okay? Hindi mo pwedeng gamitin yung chat function ng Shopee to flirt with someone. Kasi nga, 'di ba, may nag-viral dati na post na meron siyang ka-chat sa Shopee. Sa Shopee chat app. Another principle of context and content is like the My Day. Okay, My Day, 'di ba nakikita niyo yung My Day sa di ba nakikita yung My Day sa Messenger and Facebook, 'di ba? Imagine niyo na lang class kung yung Excel or yung Word, Microsoft Word ay may My Day sa taas. So that is out of context. Kasi, 'di ba? You are supposed to be productive when you are using Excel, PowerPoint, Word. Pero kung magkakaroon siya ng My Day function sa taas, of course, out of context siya. Okay, so that's the principle of context. The user interface should be structured and it should be aligned, not out of context to the intended purposes of that particular application. So yan, nakatatlo na tayo. Meron na tayong consistency, clarity, context, and navigation. So it means users can move around the menus, help files, or other screen in a system. So principle of navigation, we can be able to easily, hindi siya nangangain. Alam niyo class, yung nangangain ng buhay, di ba? Uso yun kapag sa bago yung cellphone mo. Especially the Nokia days. Naalala ko dati class, nung college kami. Hinabol pa namin yung prof namin. Sabi nung classmate ko, uy, hingi mo sa yung PowerPoint presentation sa prof natin. And binigay niya yung cellphone niya. Cellphone niya, Nokia 6600. Dati pa yun, mid-2000 pa yun, 2005. Then, ipapa-Bluetooth na lang daw dun sa cellphone. Now, hindi ko alam kung paano i-open yung Bluetooth dun sa Nokia phone. Yung kasama ko rin, hindi niya rin alam. So, hindi kami hindi namin na Bluetooth yung PowerPoint presentation ng prof namin dun sa cellphone. Kasi sabi lang ng classmate ko, yung may-ari ng cellphone, oh, habulin mo si sir, i-bluetooth ko dito sa cellphone. Then nung navigate namin yung cellphone niya, hindi namin alam kung paano i-open yung Bluetooth. Something like that. Okay? So it should be the principle of navigation is present in all the software and application that you are using so that you can easily use the software. Okay, so for example, ano ba yung mga Lalamove? That's very important. That the principle of navigation Lalamove and Grab and Uber, the principle of navigation should be very evident, very apparent, so that first-time user can easily use it. Okay? Or let's say, pag naglalaro kayo ng mga games, di ba class? Alam nyo kung paano pumunta sa store, alam niyo pumunta sa ranking, sa leaderboard, etc. So principle of navigation, you can easily navigate it. Now you can rate all the navigation in a particular software from 1 to 10. Kayo, i-rate nyo lang, magkaroon kayo ng mini game sa isip nyo lang. So let's say Netflix, how would you rate the navigation function of Netflix on your mobile? Kaya class, if you are going to rate it from 1 to 10, 10 being very easy and 1 being very hard. So if you are going to rate Netflix on your phone, how would you rate it from 1 to 10? Come on class, pwedeng mag-participate. Thank you, Andrew. So 10 over 10. Not right now. Sisingil ako ng Netflix. Okay. How about Shopee? Principle of navigation of Shopee. Ako, I can say 7. Kasi minsan hindi ko alam kung saan pupunta yung mga completed purchases ko. Dati naliligaw ako. Hindi ko mahanap kung saan ko makikita yung completed purchases sa Shopee. Pero ngayon, alam ko na. Pero mga first-time user, baka may tendency sila na maligaw. Kasi pupunta ka pa pala sa to receive para mapunta sa mga completed purchases mo. So those things, you can play a mini game on how you can rate different types of navigation. Oh yes. Hindi ko naabutan yung before. Lovely. Recently lang na-addict sa Shopee. Okay, next is of course the principle of search function. So lahat yan plus merong search function. Netflix, YouTube, etc. Lahat yan means that the system enables users to search keywords or glossary. The user interface should have a search function which should provide multiple ways for users to make queries by grouping or sorting the system. Should provide users a preview in order to get a word in the correct page. So no questions about this. Very self-explanatory that a good software or operating system must have a search function so that it can pass the principle of GUI. Another principle is the principle of learnability. Means the system provides support, information, and help files to make the system easy to understand. So if you've seen the question mark icon, so it automatically means that sino class yung pinaka-famous na icon or na character sa principle of learnability? Sino sa tingin niyo class? Ano to? Trivia.
Kung icon po, sir.
Icon? Anong klaseng icon?
Yung pinakasikat, sir, para sa akin yung home, yung bahay, sir.
Okay, yeah, that's for the principle of icon. Yeah, that is the most famous, the home, kasi lahat naman tayo may home. Pero class, yung my question is kilala niyo ba si Clippy? Si Clippy. Siya yung pinaka-famous na when it comes to learnability. Nasa ano siya, hindi nyo na kasi era yun. Pero ito yung tsura niya. Yan, siya si Clippy. Siya yung office assistant before. Naalala nyo ba siya? Maybe sa computer 1, 2, mga lumang PC na, mga Windows.
Sir, dati.
Oh yes, naalala siya. Siya yung pwede siyang maging personification, character siya ng
Akala
principal.
ko kasi dati laro yun.
Isa siyang assistant. Pag kinlik mo siya, yun, tuturuan ka ng mga bagay-bagay. Siya si Clippy. Okay? So, naging ano na siya, institution na siya. Kasi, dati is really an office assistant. Okay? So, in-embody niya yung principle of learnability. Now, let's say, nakikita ko to class sa mga laro. For example, mayroon kang sa Mobile Legends, may bibili kang skin or item. Di ba? May question mark sa tabi nun. Pag kinlik mo yun, it will explain what about that particular skin or item that you are about to purchase. So, learnability. Okay, so dito rin mapasok yung mga tutorial, pagsasimula pa lang ng laro, okay, learnability. And dito rin papasok yung mga YouTube, yung ways nila for learnability is hindi lang text, but also video. Diba class, pag magsimula ka ng YouTube channel, meron silang entire video series to help you learn more about how to become a creator in YouTube. So yon, that embodies the principle of learnability in that particular software. So pwede siyang in a form of text, pwede siyang in a form of graphics, pwede siyang in a form of video. Pero wala pa akong nakita in a form of a audio. Kasi laging may corresponding video to that. Okay. So there, that's the principle of learnability. It should have, sometimes class, ano yung mga sa software na ginagamit natin, mga primitive way of their learnability. Less creative way is nagbibigay sila ng link. Okay, link. Pag kinlik mo yung click here, pupunta ka sa particular website. Then you will know more about that particular thing. Okay, next is the principle of flexibility. Means a user has the authority to navigate through all the sections without any limitation. So that is the term there that I want to highlight, without any limitation. One example that I can give here is the Zoom. So I can say that the Zoom application is very flexible kasi pwede kong i-drag yung mga certain function that gusto ko makita, the participants, the chat, the video panel, the different types of icon, okay, the dashboard, yeah, the dashboard. I can put it wherever I want. So that is very flexible. Zoom is, yeah, the example that I can give in the principle of flexibility. Kayo class, kung meron kayong naiisip na mga application na ginagamit, no? If you think that is flexible, that can drag and drop certain things, then that is the principle of flexibility. Next is the principle of personalization. Okay, means that user can make their own personal or individual learning. Users can choose their display option. So siguro yung, alam niyo ba kasi yung pinakaunang iPhone, yung, yeah, the first ever iPhone, pwede kong sabihin na yung personalization niya is nasa 1/10 kasi lahat ng first generation iPhone, isa lang yung wallpaper niya, yung planet Earth. So yun lang. Hindi mo siya pwedeng palitan kahit anong gawin mo. Yun lang yung only icon, only wallpaper ng first ever iPhone. So of course, ano pa lang yung pinakaunang iPhone. So forgivable yun. But lahat ng software na ginagamit natin and operating system na ginagamit natin, it has a function for us to personalize it. Kung gusto mong dark mode, you can do it. Very apparent sa mga social media software or application or platform. Sa ano pa lang class, sa Facebook pa lang, di ba? You can personalize what is your featured story, featured picture, profile picture, of course, display picture, then a cover photo, etc. So as long as you can personalize a particular software, so it means that it satisfies the principle of personalization. Okay, so that is the um, 8 principles of GUI. So we learn about the media, the data information, the interactive media, the static, the dynamic, and the 8 principles of user interface. May tanong ba kayo, class, before we proceed to the next agenda for today?
And so far naman po, sir.
None so far. Okay. So let's talk about, class, your OJT. By the way, class, kasi may certain part, have I discussed this before, class, the principle of user interface, the data media, before on your office productivity? Na-discuss ko na ba sa inyo to dati? Or you cannot remember? Not yet?
Hindi pa po ata, sir.
Hindi pa. Okay. So, there, class. Actually, same concern. Pumunta ako sa mga different offices sa PUP. Then, nahirapan din sila, class. Sabi nila na kapag nag-ano daw sila, yun nga, may OJT sila sa ibang office. Parang, of course, hindi nyo kasalanan to, class. Hindi nyo kasalanan to. Pero para daw, since face-to-face setup, compare talaga sa face-to-face setup, since work from home mo yung OJT, parang instead na, of course, you will become productive, ang nangyayari, parang mas nadadagdagan pa yung trabaho ng mga tao sa office. Kasi binibigyan nila kayo ng trabaho. They are finding ways to assist you. Okay? But, pero class, don't get me wrong, wag kayong sabihin na makakabigat kayo dahil yun sa sa work from home setup na bawal kayo sa PUP. Yun talaga yung may kasalanan. So hindi nyo kasalanan yun, class. Kasi nga, 'di ba? Parang sa office namin, 'di ba? Instead of dapat talaga may ways para mapunta kayo sa office. Then nag-iisip ako, tinanong ko yung OJT coordinator natin, si Ma'am Marley Galano, kilala niyo ba yun? Sabi niya is wala pang guidelines sa alternative. Kasi yung guidelines na binigay sa amin is face-to-face. So, hindi ko siya pwedeng gamitin na guideline sa inyo kasi face-to-face yun. Hindi naman kayo face-to-face. So, what I am thinking, class, sa mga wala pang office, is that I will come up with an alternative activity para sa mga hindi makakapag-OJT sa offices. Pero yung mga nagpasa na ng MOA, later I'll give you an update. Okay? Kung pwede nyo na siyang i-pick upin sa office. So ano sa tingin nyo, class? Yung mga wala pang offices, okay lang ba sa inyo na magkaroon kayo ng alternative activity?
Sir, if ever po, ano po yung alternative activity
Yan.
na ipapagawa?
Good question. So, ang alternative activity is possible na, ito idea lang to, hindi pa to final. Parang pabibisitahin ko kayo ng 3 museum, then tatlong museum, isang zoo. Pasensya na kasi kailangan talaga. Isang zoo. Pwede naman sa wildlife or, basta may mga animals. And then, of course, documentation. Basta 3 museum ang kailangan nyo mapuntahan in an educational context. Tapos may papagawa ako sa inyo na organizational chart para to compensate. Parang equals din dun sa gagawin yung on-the-job training. What do you think, class? Yung mga ano wala pang OJT, pero yung mga nagsisimula na ng OJT sa PUP tsaka sa labas, mga may MOA na, tuloy-tuloy yun sa inyo, syempre. Pero yung mga wala pang OJT, ano lang yon, parang alternative. Kasi class, inisip ko, yung alternative din kasi sa, may field study kayo, di ba? Di ba class? May field study kayo? Magkaka-field study kayo? Magkakaroon kayo sa third year, fourth year. Okay. Ngayon, dati kasi, hindi rin sila nakapag-field study. Pero may equivalent, may alternative na binigay sa kanila. Yun nga, mag-visit ng museum. Kasi parang sa ano rin to yung CPD, continual professional development, continue professional development. Yung CPD, parang visit ka ng isang museum, that's 1 point. Yes, valid pa rin yun. We can say that the on-the-job training pa rin yun, kahit na alternative yung ginawa ninyo, Princess. Okay? It's still valid as OJT. It is counted as OJT still. Kahit alternative yung ginawa nyo. Kasi dati class, mayroon din ako mga students na field study na hindi rin sila nakapag-field study. Mga irregular students yun sila. I don't know if they are working also. And then, nanghingi sila sa akin ng alternative. Then, sabi ng chairperson namin dati, na pwedeng alternative sa field study yung pag-visit ng museum, punta sa zoo, pero isang zoo lang, pero 3 museum dapat. Then of course, fully documented yung activity na yun, fully documentation yung from entrance, yung pag-login nyo, may mga safety measures na present doon, that ino-document nyo lahat doon. Then additional activity na lang compared to sa mga yun nga, one activity is papagawa ko kayo ng organizational chart, which is parang kapag nag-OJT kayo sa PUP, possible din naman na ipagawa sa inyo. So same idea. Kung ano yung mga possible ipapagawa sa inyo para nag-OJT kayo sa office, yun din yung ipapagawa ko sa inyo. So that we can cover it. Pero ano lang to class, that is just another alternative. Pero kung if you really insist to go to PUP, sa class, yun nga, yung sinabi ko na yung reason kung bakit may struggle tayo makapunta sa PUP. Unless, of course, may kakilala kayo mismo sa PUP na endorse kayo directly so you can conduct your OJT there. But other than that, that is just an OJT. Pero hindi pa naman final kasi yung alternative. Ito lang yung naisip kong action plan. So what do you think, class? May tanong ba kayo? Kung ayaw nyo ba, okay lang naman, sabihin nyo. Kaya nga meeting class So you can say your idea about that particular alternative activity. Oh, so very good question. So since yung topic natin is about different types of media, okay? So alam nyo na siguro yung sagot dyan sa tanong mo, Naomi. So of course, pwede yung video. Different types of media are just tools for us to deliver information. So makakapag-deliver pa rin naman ng information yung video. So yes, pwedeng yung video. Pwedeng picture, pwedeng text, a narrative. Tsaka kahit picture caption lang. Pero dapat yun nga, 3 museum yung kailangan yung puntahan. 3 museum at isang zoo. Isang wildlife area. So pwede kayong sa wildlife. Pwede sa wildlife. Quezon City Parks and Wildlife, alam niyo ba yan? Sa QC. Huwag lang kayo pupunta doon ng Monday kasi sarado. So,
Sir, paano po yung yung oras? Di ba po 120? If ever po nasa alternative.
Yun nga. Kasi 3 museum tsaka isang zoo. Tapos may papagawa pa ako sa inyo. Equivalent na rin sa 100 hours.
So depende na lang po, sir, saan ipapagawa nyo po.
Oo. So isa na doon sa papagawa ko yung organizational chart. Pero yung zoo tsaka yung museum, malaking points na yun. Kasi kahit kapag na kayo, teacher na kayo, may point na yun, yung pag-visit nyo sa mga museum, may point na rin yun. So that is just an alternative naman. Hindi pa naman final to class. Hindi pa ako nakakagawa ng guidelines. I'm just asking you if kung okay ba sa inyo yun. Or gusto niyo talaga mag-OJT sa actual office. But this is only applicable sa mga wala pang offices. So pwede kayong mag-meeting na yung mga wala pang OJT. Then tell me your final decision na, sir, I think gusto talaga namin i-push sa PUP mag-OJT. Or, sir, I think we'll grab the alternative ways. Kasi kayo din naman magkakasama, di ba? Pag pupunta kayong museum. So, it's possible na you need to decide as a group yung mga hindi pa tapos mag-OJT. Okay, so can you give me a thumbs up, Claire? Kasi kung clear sa inyo yun. I'm not rushing you naman to decide, so it's up to you. Okay, so may tanong pa ba kayo, class?
Sir, ako po.
Yeah, go.
Kasi po 'di ba po yung sa labas po nag-OJT, copy yung binigay niyo sa amin.
7, yes.
Ilan po yung isusoli sa inyo, sir?
6, kasi yung isa doon. Pagka
Iwan na po dun
notarize
sa-
na.
Okay po, sir. Tapos, sir, may need po ba kaming documentation?
Oo naman, yung documentation na kailangan sa office, the usual, the DTR, the pantry, the health protocol, etc. Yung the usual, don't worry, I'll provide a different separate discussion to that. Yeah, the normal things that we will document in the office. But bigyan ko pa kayo ng guidelines. Finalize ko pa. Okay?
Sir, paano po yan nag-start na ako? Okay lang na hindi ko na-document yung ilang araw?
Na ano? Ang sabi mo?
Yung ilang araw po.
Anong ilang araw?
Ay, bali kaka-start ko pa lang naman po kahapon.
Okay.
Ang dinocument ko lang po yung screenshot po nung pinapagawa sa akin.
Okay. Yeah. That will do. Pwede
Sige
na yun.
po, sir.
Okay. Wait pala kayo, class, sa ano. Gagawa na lang ako ng isang form na sasagutan nyo para standard sa inyong lahat. So just wait for it. Okay? So, may tanong pa ba?
Sir, pwede po magtanong.
Yes.
Yung mawa ko, nasisin niyo po ba yung email, sir? Yung nagpasa na po ako ng MOA.
Oh, Pablo, Christine.
Sir.
Wait lang, baka ready for pickup na yung sayo. Nag-reply ako sa'yo, di ba? Hindi mo ba nabasa yung reply ko?
Saan po kayo? Sa email po?
Oo. Christine. Wait lang Sa glras@pup. I-send mo na lang sa akin sa messenger yung details. Pero yung mga nagbasa sa akin ng MOA, lahat yun na forward ko na. Okay, yung iba nga doon ready for pickup. Pagdating ko sa office mamaya, i-PPM ko sa GC natin. Yung mga ready for pickup na. Okay? Okay, Christine. I-send mo ako ng screenshot nung sined mo sa aking MOA.
Sige po, sir. Thank you po.
Okay. So, may tanong pa ba kayo, class?
Sir, ako po last na.
Kaya, go.
Okay lang po bang pag tapos na yung OJT, tsaka lang po ibalik yung papers sa inyo? Na notarize?
Oh, that's a good question. Tatanungin ko yung OJT coordinator natin
Sige
kung
po,
pwede
sir.
yun. Okay? Tatanong ko muna.
Thank you po, sir.
Which is, agree naman ako doon kasi para isang puntahan na lang. Pero, i-confirm ko muna kung pwede yun. Okay?
Salamat po.
May tanong pa ba kayo, class?
Sir, yung kay yung chat daw po ni Princess.
Ni Princess?
Dito po sa Zoom.
May chance na pwede mo once a week. Ayun o class, gusto ko talaga na ano eh. Hindi lang naman kayo yung may gusto ng face-to-face setup. Kaso nga lang class, napaka-ano kasi, napaka-risky. Kahit nga sa director namin, mga nag-OJT sa office, gusto nga namin kayo papuntahin. Pero, ano eh, nakakatakot daw, sabi ng director namin. So, hindi siya pwede. Yung once a week, face-to-face, then the rest work from home. Gusto din namin yun, pero ano eh, hindi talaga pwede. So that's okay, Princess. Sa PUP yun pero sa ano, sa outside depende sa ano, sa setup nyo. Kasi depende talaga yan sa office. Kasi may ibang office nga ano pwedeng pumunta yung OJT. Pero ano lang, parang for emergency purposes. Yung, pag masyadong maraming ginagawa, tutulong ka sa enrollment, something like that. Depende nga sa office. Okay, so may tanong pa ba kayo, class? And if you don't have any more question, you can now open your webcam. So, yes.
Isesend nyo po ba yan? Yung presentation nyo po kanina, yung sa media, data, tsaka...
Sige. I-paste ko sa OJT. GC natin. Alright? So if you don't have any more question, you can now open your webcam. Then give me a heart icon. Sabay-sabay tayo mag-heart icon. And smile. Okay. So that would be all, class, and thank you. And update you later. Goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye po, sir.
Thank you
Thank you po.
Bye.
po.
Thank you, sir.
Po, sir.
Po.
Adios.